Welcome to the I Can Explain That podcast. Now, in this episode of the podcast, they have a discussion about steroid gut, the first white child, and have a deep dive about homosexuality in the black community, which started with a conversation about Lil Boosie. Stay tuned.
Show me that smile, show me that smile. Get it to Casanova song. Best theme song of all time. Welcome to I Can Explain That podcast, where we go through each other's search histories to find that wacky, kooky shit we're looking through. To my left and through the computer is my co-host, Chris Bazemore, representing the planet of Brooklyn. Chris, how are you? Not a fan of Family Ties.
I just didn't like it. I'm not a big fan because that didn't do it for me just now. I'm be honest with you.
Show me that smile.
But today you said you got something. You've been researching something, and you was gonna teach me some shit.
Yeah. Well, it's more of like it'll be a healthy dialogue and where things led me. So Boosie was back in the news. One of your second favorite rap after Tekashi? Goes Tekashi and then
That's
Boosie.
My favorite. It would be Boosie first.
Boosie first. Boosie Badazz.
100%.
Hands. He's been very
put the pussy on live. I'll give you $1,000.
Zone.
Great.
Oh. Terrible.
If I had a pussy, I would put it on live for the $1,000. Like, that's free money.
Did you catch that lady?
You know what I mean?
Who was trying to twerk for DJ Khaled?
No.
He was. I don't know. It's like a thing where it's like where you do an Instagram live and then you get to Instagram face to face with people, and he got some girl who was like an Instagram, we'll call her a thought, and she was trying to twerk, and he's like, talk to me normal, because it was captured in live. You have not seen this. It's literally gonna be his next song.
No.
Talk to me normal.
I did not see that. That's great.
Like, he's legit freaking out, knowing good damn well everyone sees him, and then he's like, no, I don't like it. Then he turns it off. You ain't seen it?
Because he's married.
Yeah.
He was like, she's gonna kill me. I'm dead.
And the girl was just like, you sure you don't want it? You sure?
So you can move your hip muscles.
What are you gonna do?
It's fucked up. Women need to get, we all need to get out, not just women. All of us need to get outside because this is leading to the worst of us.
It's rough.
So,
Boosie Badazz. Now, this man's been very vocal about how to raise kids. Specifically, he went after Dwayne Wade and the Zaya Wade sort of situation, where D Wade's daughters transition. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, pull up this article. He wanted everyone to know how he is raising his boys right? He's talking about his nephews and his son. I figured out how to work this bullshit. So he put this up on Instagram Live, where he told everyone in the world that he has had, that's your favorite rapper.
I saw this.
Where he had his nephews and his 12-year-old son blown by a grown woman. Grown ass woman. Let's see if I can read it verbatim. As he went in. Here it is. I'm training these boys right. Ask my nephews, ask any of them, ask my son. Yeah, when they was 12, 13, they got hit. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. Hell yeah. Keeps going. He goes on and on. And then he goes on to say, that didn't quite catch this earlier. He also taught them how to put a condom on there at 9 or 10. That's cool, I guess. A bit early, but I guess you're never too early, never too young to learn how to practice safe sex. But then he also goes on to say, that's how I raised them. It's better than watching cartoons. They can watch all the porn they want. It's better than cartoons. That's your favorite rapper. Any thoughts so far? Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Several. I mean, for one, why couldn't I have him as a father? That's one. That would have just been so great. I had to wait till I was like 15 to get a woman to. It wasn't even a woman. It was another 15-year-old girl to put my thing in her mouth. So but So if he was my dad, I would have gotten that at 13. I would have been ahead of the game. Oh man, that would have saved so many awkward conversations. So I praise. I don't praise that, but it's my question is, how did he convince a grown woman to commit a crime such as statutory rape? Like, how do you commit?
I'm assuming she's a pro.
What? Because my thought process initially is like, I've heard stories like that, right? Yeah. And my thought process is like, how do you get someone to just like, how do you convince a grown person to be like, yo, I know this person is 13. It's not even like, all right, they're 17, 16, which is still wrong, but more right than 13. Right. All of it wrong, but you're getting close. You're getting warm, essentially. It's like, all right, you're getting warmer. 13? How do you go like, yo, he's in 8th grade. He's in middle school, but he need his little thing sucked.
He's still got Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
You do this anyway.
He will be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At the same time. I hope that's not a problem. And if it is, you don't get them $1,000. But that's my first. That's my first one. My second thing is safe sex. That's good.
Another portion of it was good. A little young to be learning it, but never too young to learn safe sexual practices.
I think I was around that age.
The phone was what I thought unique. Because I think it's weird for kids to have phones young, regardless, whatever they're using them for.
Mm.
I've had the debate with friends where like they go, nah, my kid's gonna have a phone when he's 9, 10 years old. I'm like, why? Who are they called? What's so important they need a phone for? So I don't know.
I see where you're going with that. I don't know. Porn over cartoons, I would have to say, as someone who loves both of those things, mutually separate, I would say porn is probably better than cartoons.
At your age? for a 27-year-old?
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes sense. That makes sense. I think it would be weird if it was the inverse.
Yeah.
So, proceed. I don't want to cut you off too much.
Of course, and if we scroll, then this article is about some of the backlash homie was getting. I got Instagram Live, and someone commented literally mid-sentence, that is rape. So not everyone was signing up on Mr. Badass's rhetoric. So, of course, you got the tweets, people not liking it, I feel like Black Twitter is usually – it's a weird conundrum because it'll be a string of tweets and then someone will say Black Twitter says this. But then how do you necessarily know it's all a Black Twitter? Because this other wrong. I know there's people who agree with what he's saying.
Well, I think people associate – I think the uninformed, they think Black Twitter is just Black people on Twitter. Mm. So if a Black person says, oh, this is wrong, that some people who are uninformed or just don't know, they're like, he's speaking or she's speaking from Black Twitter. And it's like, that's just a Black man or Black woman speaking. It's not essentially the Black Twitter hive.
Sure, it's too monolithic.
Yeah. I wonder what's more of an exclusive club to join. Black Twitter or the Illuminati. I wonder which one is like more strenuous.
Gotta be Illuminati. You gotta be like a trillionaire or whatever it is. Millionaire? Thousandaire? You think Bow Wow's in the Illuminati? You think he was in the Illuminati and they kicked him out?
100%. As soon as he started lying about private jets, he was like, if you don't get your stupid ass the fuck out of here.
So, Boosie then walked back his comments via you see the TMZ video, whatever. So the thought process that went through my head was hyper black masculinity and homosexuality in Black culture. Why is it such a weird lens? So I feel like it's an age-old lens. I want to know where it comes from. Why does the LGBTQ sometimes run in contrast to Black culture? You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. So for me, I can't really answer that because I'm not a part of that community. But what I will say is that it's always interesting to me when I hear those stories like that, and why people go, "Oh, I'm doing this so that my son doesn't be gay," and it's like, why is that such a big deal? Why are you trying to avoid something that person may or may not be? Like, why is that such a bad thing? But I think it goes back, in my personal opinion, and my personal uninformed opinion, I think it probably goes back to like slavery, and even before that, when they was trying to strip the masculinity away from the Black man. And I think people associate gay with femininity, and they don't associate it with masculinity, which I've been in the gym with multiple gay guys, and they were more masculine than me. If we're just talking about weights.
Yeah, gay dudes are rich.
I remember I was on my last set, and I was doing 3 sets of, three. I was doing 3 of like 205 or 210, something like that. Right.
Little bitch, please.
I still have a neck.
That's funny. I remember my first time at the gym.
I still have a neck, so I don't care. You can say what you want, but I can't see your
me
neck.
Me and Florida Evans knock niggas out, okay? We don't need
100%. And don't have men, because your men die because you're too strong.
Damn.
She was putting creatine in that food. That's why JJ didn't like the cooking of his sister, because she was like, she don't got that creatine taste. It don't. But I digress. I say all that to say, I do think it starts with that. I do think when it comes to like the Black community, our community, it always goes back to the masculinity, and that goes into like why they look at Black men who wear dresses a certain way, and
sure.
etc. It's just this big thing. I've heard stories, horror stories of like, I went to school for theater, so it's around mostly gay people, man. And I've heard stories where like their fathers was like trying to beat the gay out of them.
I mean, look at Little Richard. He got booted out of the house because he was too feminine.
Rest in peace, Little Richard. But yeah. I mean, it was a different time. But when you see Little Richard then, if he was born now, he would have been living his best life.
Yeah.
Oh, he would have. Him and Lil Nas X would have had a little horse, a little farm somewhere.
I feel like Little Richard's too talented for today. Like, he'd just be a very happy gay man. He wouldn't be a superstar. Like, everyone, like rock and roll itself, everyone just rips off Little Richard. Like, every gay dude is super flamboyant. It's just a manifestation of what Little Richard was. Like, he'd be like, I'm just, okay, let's go blame everyone else. Like, we'll just be me.
True. And I think he was being even more so him because it wasn't as accessible. Like, it wasn't like they make like gender neutral clothes and stuff now. Mm-hmm. Then he was like going into like female clothes and certain things, and because it wasn't making frills and shit like that. I can't see them making frills if you're not in England somewhere or a president.
Right. Like, or Austin Powers.
Like, so I don't know. For me, it's always come up. Like, I don't know if it's come up for you, but it's damn sure come up for me in many settings of what would you do if your kid was gay, and would you try to prevent that or whatever? And honestly, I would love my kid either way, and I wouldn't try to prevent it. First of all, why would you make your kid hate you forever?
Weird. Who knows?
Now your kid hates you forever for not letting your kid live his normal life. So it's I don't know. How do you feel?
Oh no, it wouldn't be a problem at all. Be gay. Be as gay as you want. But
that's because you used to be gay in college, right?
Oh, never. I was in France.
You was in France?
No. Whoa, guy. Whoa. Never been to France. All right. Just got my passport. Long portion of that story was Little Richard allowed a lot of gay dudes to act how they wanted to act. But what it got me into thinking was, in Atlanta, we know Dave Chappelle spoke about this in his last special. There's a lot of men who have wives who also have boyfriends.
Agree.
The down low is very, I don't want to say popular, but compared to other parts of it, it's prominent. Why is it so popular?
Yeah.
A lot of gay men, you would assumedly call them gay. From what I read, there's a lot of articles where like they don't want to be referred to as gay, though they have sex with men. And it's like, this is actually something I've experienced in my family. My godfather, dude, is gayer than a bucket of rainbows. Very, very gay. But my mother refuses to acknowledge that he's gay. This is how she'll describe it. She uses these words to describe it. She goes, one time I came up in a conversation, she goes, he is straight, but sometimes he'll have sex with women. Her own words. And I said, yeah, okay, so he's bisexual? She goes, no, he is straight, but sometimes he has sex with women. And I was like, or has sex with men. And I was like, there's a word for that, bisexual. But she can't come to terms with that being. He's either straight or he's gay. And that, looking further into the DL, almost every article I dove into had deep, I didn't find any correlation or anyone touching base on slavery, which is interesting. I found a lot of ties with pushback of the black community and homosexuality, LGBTQ, tying back to the church.
Yeah, I 100% see that as well.
That was very prominent. Despite the fact that almost every black church has some sort of gay component there, whether it's the choir director.
I was just about to say,
much the choir directors.
It's always the choir director. I don't trust a straight choir director. You're not going to give me that emotion I need to feel. If you haven't sucked at least one dick or thought of it, you can't be a choir director. In my head. I'm sorry. Call me wrong, but I just can't.
A lot of these articles touched on what was the same phrase they had in the military? Speak, don't tell. What is it?
Don't. I think you're close. I can't think of it, but yes.
Right. Same sort of shit. That's how they sort of deal with, and then some of these articles talk about gay deacons, gay pastors, everybody gay. But it's an unspoken, don't ask, don't tell. That was it.
Don't ask, don't tell. Yes.
But very rampant. But I just thought it'd be an interesting conundrum to have closeted gay church members in an institution that's pushing back against the notion of homosexuality altogether. Thoughts, questions, concerns as of yet?
I mean, when you discuss the church and its component, it's very prevalent. I was just actually looking at it's called. You ever saw Pose?
You talked about it.
Yes, it's a great show, and I'm probably going to start rewatching it. But I was looking at an interview actually of one of the trans actors from the show, and I was looking at that, and they was saying that their I believe their grandfather was a pastor and their father was a pastor. They grew up in the church, and they felt that by them living their truth, they would shame the family, so they ran away.
Okay.
And that component, well, that thought process, that's very unique in itself, right? Because you're still putting the family before your own needs in a lot of ways.
Right.
So that's very wow. But on another token, it's just like, it's sad that you even thought that would be shaming the family. Whenever I actually meet someone who says they're super Christian or super like religious, I always find a way to ask, so how you feel about gays?
Just, that's all. My man, a lot of subtlety. Just ease into a street fight.
Yeah, it'd be like, so like I get it. Muhammad is the shit. I'm with you. Jesus is also the shit. I'm with you on that too, man. Whatever you believe. But how you feel about gays? Because I always find it interesting that they say that gays are innately bad, or being gay is bad. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the store, I haven't read past Genesis, and I was an usher. I was heavy.
So, I have not read any of it, but I remember most of the stories.
I know what I've heard. Like I remember certain things. Like I know the Abraham thing, his story, and I know certain stories. But like I always hear like Sodom and Gomorrah, and I don't know exactly what that is about. But I believe it has something to do with homosexuality in some way.
I think that was a component or a variable going on in those two cities, or that one city. It was just, according to the stories, shit was running wild. I believe there were, abominations according to the story. And then God was like, this shit is over. And then rained sulfur.
Yeah, well, not a fun time. Not a fun time to be gay.
That was a good time.
Rain
like
and
quite
sulfur.
the punishment for some butt fucking.
Yeah. That's quite the punishment just because you fell into the booty hole. Like, oops. Sorry, I made a mistake.
That was an accident. You don't see that crack? That was...
I was walking, I had a hard day. This isn't the first time it's happened today.
This is a normal occurrence.
Yeah, it's very interesting to me how people associate homosexuality with like devil and being wrong. And I think being that black people, like going back to being that we have a strong church background.
Very strong.
And a strong faith. And that also
strong Protestant too, which typically, in my experience, Catholics versus Protestants practice a much more strict interpretation of the Bible.
Gotcha.
So
I didn't know that.
This says that shit is an abomination. It's an abomination. Where Catholics, the Pope recently just said, gay people cool. Like, we're not supposed to be judging. Where, Protestants like, don't eat shellfish, don't go to Red Lobster, shit like that.
The Pope
Catholics
was just
are like,
tired of,
but it's delicious. So, I don't know.
I feel like the Pope was just tired of him throwing glitter at his Pope mobile.
Give the shit.
So, come on. You know how hard it is? It's like, fam, you're making this very difficult in the Vatican. The Pope all over his hat.
On his beanie?
Yeah, on his beanie. I guarantee you the Pope got a glittery do-rag. 100%.
I found it interesting that when the 2012 election was coming up, there were pundits who thought that Obama might lose black voters during his re-election because he came out in support of same-sex marriage. And then there was a poll comparing a black population to the white, and this, if you can see on the screen, where the questions, the agree, disagree, sex between two men is just plain wrong. Roughly 75% of the black respondents said agree. 3/4.
Wow.
But then weirdly, these numbers go down. Like, I think male homosexuals are disgusting. It said only 50%. And then male homosexuality is a natural expression of sexuality in men, 20%. Oh, no, that makes sense. It'd be the inverse. All right.
Yeah, that would be the inverse.
And then they didn't wane on women. Like, a lot of times there's like dudes who be weird about,
no, it says women right underneath.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Like, sometimes I hear a lot of guys who will say they have certain opinions about gay men, but then not necessarily a strong opinion on lesbians. Where, according to that poll, pretty much no change. They're like, no gay dudes, no lesbians. I don't like it all. So,
I do feel like when it comes to women and like men, we always think we're very prideful. And I know every man has had a point in their life where they've seen like a cute lesbian, and then it's been introduced like, oh no, she likes women. And you be like, nah, I can fix that. They're like, fix? What do you mean fix?
Then you sand from holes? I can fix that.
I can name at least 9 situations in my life where that's happened to me as well as like people around me. And they'd be like, yo, she's hot. And then someone would be like, oh no, she's actually gay. Like she came in with her or whatever the case may be. People be like, so? Like I did, that's 2, man. That means 2 women. Are you stupid? 2 is always better than 1.
Don't you know math?
Yeah, it's like it's a bravado thing, and it's weird. Man, I've always been under the guise or the thought process of like, yo, love who you want to love. Like I can't, if it's legal, I'm happy with it. Don't love a baby and want to do nasty things. Like that's I'm against that. I'm against that shit. But I'm for if you love a man and you're a man, if you love a woman and you're a woman, if you love a trans and you're a man or a woman, whatever the case, live your best life. If that's what makes you happy, who the fuck am I to tell you about your happiness?
Right. So, at the conclusion of all this, what I've gathered the most of all what I was looking into is just to say, Chris Bazemore, just say you're gay. That's it. Just go ahead. Hey, man.
I knew it. You know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like when you first brought up the homosexuality. I was like, somehow there's gonna be a joke on me. I didn't know you was gonna wait to the end. You was playing the ropes the whole time.
Yeah, buddy.
You was disguising it.
Buddy.
You was like, look at the birdie, look at the birdie, look at the birdie.
That felt good. Woo! Another note, though. So you Siri. You went to Siri in your phone, and Siri goes.
Side note. What? Side note. I thought you were gonna be like, on the other note, yeah, gays are bad. I was like, oh shit.
No. That shit makes me sick. All right, in this podcast.
But let's continue. All right. Like, oh shit. Proceed. Of course you don't think that because you are that. Proceed.
So you hold down your home button on your phone and Siri says, what can I help you with? And then you didn't even ask Siri a question. You said, dead porn stars. And Siri told you, I don't know how to respond to that.
All right. So I screenshot that and sent that to you.
Whatever I'm about to say, I'm on board. Like I get you. I get where that question comes from. Go ahead.
I was actually looking at porn, and then I went to the comments, just nature because we do this and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I just went to the comments naturally, and I actually finished. I actually went all the way through. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, yeah, rest in peace. She was a legend. I said, rest in peace.
Who was it?
August. I think it was August.
Ames?
Yeah, Ames. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. Like I've seen her before, and I think I've probably heard the story before. Like once I heard the story of how she committed suicide and stuff, I was like, oh shit, I think I heard that before. But I didn't. That's not in the front of my brain. Like right. I'm not thinking about suicidal porn stars and stuff. Like rest in peace, and it's sad that had to happen. Enjoying myself in her work, and all of a sudden that comes up, and I'm just like, wait a minute, hold up, this. So I actually went to Siri in that moment, and I didn't even want to type it in and go open a tab. I was like, give me a list. Yeah. I thought it would list it out like August, this chick, this dude, this chick. And then once I actually saw the list, and a lot of them from the 80s died of AIDS. I was like, oh shit, this is aggressive. I wonder, it was like it was a couple I've seen that was like AIDS, and I was just like, I wonder if one of them was like patient zero, and they brought in porn.
I've heard that a lot of male stars have to start off in men-on-men scenes.
Speaking of the gay thing, I don't think I would be able to be a porn star.
Right, no. If that's the barrier to entry, that's just not an industry I'm going to be in. I can't do it.
Yeah, I got a better chance being in the D League. I take that.
Which makes me think, are most male stars gay? And this is just because it's biology and you can make your body do it with the help of pills. Or do they want to be in the industry so bad with the other stuff to get into where they are? Like, is Sean Lawless, he want to be in it so bad? He was like, I'll fuck a couple guys. Or is Sean Lawless gay? And he was like, well, this pays more. Also, I would assume
there is a such thing as gay for pay. There's men and women, for that matter, who like have a whole life.
Yeah, but I think gay for pay is like when the fat dude on Modern Family is pretending to be gay. I don't think it means actually putting a dick in an ass.
Nah, that's what it means, bro.
Oh, okay.
That's how I first heard.
Of course you would.
That's how I first heard of the term. I first heard the term as in like not being like an actor, like being a pornographic actor and being like, I got I have a full life and I'm just gonna, I'm gonna suck this dick and get this money so I can marry my wife. This is all for my wife. So that's how I first heard the term. But you went through my shit, and I'm surprised you started there because there's some bad.
Well, no, it happens. I get it. Like I'm a big fan of compilations. I need it, and if I'm going quick. I don't have time for narrative. I don't have time for build up. Just give me, some sort of theme. And I knew August Ames. I know her by face, and I knew that she had passed. And like I'll be watching the compilation, and then bam, right in smack dab middle, we got a dead lady. Not a dead lady, but a woman who's going on. I'm like, and I don't know how to feel about it. Also, I'm like, I'm mid-stroke. Like, what do I do? Do I stop? What if
you gotta get that
moment? Like, what if I'm right there? What if it's a good one?
If you're right there, you just gotta take that L. You gotta put someone else's face. You gotta put someone else's face there real quick. You gotta just be like, all right, fuck it, now, and put your girlfriend or whoever face there. You can't let that face be the face you come to, because then now you're necrophiliac. You looked up steroid gut.
Yeah.
Are you worried? Because I think your gut is just fat.
And mine is just fat. Yeah, no, I'm fine. I am 100% fat. So I'm out here in Long Island, right? Long Island. Like a lot of those Jersey Shore-ish dudes, a lot of Italian dudes who they're built like chickens. They're all upper body and they got like the thin legs. And I was explaining to my lady that like if you see one of those dudes literally like cock diesel so big that it looks like he can't wipe his ass, and he's got like a gut, you call it steroid gut. You'll see sometimes with certain angles you'll see it in John Cena. You see it when,
I peeped that
say it again?
You was looking at it. Yeah, I peeped that you was looking up. It goes steroid gut, then John Cena steroid gut. Right,
because I've seen it Rogan. Now his isn't necessarily steroid gut because he doesn't do steroids, but he is a big advocate for testosterone replacement. And his shit is very much. It's not necessarily distended like steroid gut, but like his whole abdomen just looks weird, like it's made like the bird cage. That's all it was. Just education.
Oh my God!
Long Island MAGA Trump nerds at the gym were built cock D's on the top half, but got like a gut. That's what it is.
All right.
That makes sense. What will happen if I'm fat and I take steroids? If I'm already fat, what a steroid gut?
That's what I thought. That's what I thought you was looking it up for. I was like, oh, you're trying to see what happens after you start taking steroids. And on your first cycle, you're going to be like, I already got a gut, so does it negate? Like, right. 2 pluses equal or minus. So, well, in math.
Well, my concern with steroids would be the titties. Like, I already got titties, and they like the steroids can give you gynecomastia, which is real titties. So like, I don't need like my fat man titties to have real titties. I'd have like legitimate breasts.
You don't like titties, bro?
I like, not on myself.
I heard. I have a friend. Speaking of the whole. I don't even know where this falls, but I guess it's in the LGBT. I have a friend who looks at trans porn, and then when we was like, why? He was just like, nigga, it's just extra titties. I said, okay. You know what? You got a point. I mean, you haven't sold me, but you got a point. You damn sure it is extra titties.
It is. I mean, valid, fair. That's a fair point. Who are we?
You're right when you're right.
You looked up some interesting stuff, Christopher. Sorry, I was just thinking. So, one, you Googled white slave. You Googled first white child. Why? Can you explain your Google that?
I looked up the first, because apparently if you drink the blood of the first white child, you become white. And not
what?
And you get all the privileges. So I was looking where that was at. I was going to let all my niggas know so we can go and change over. Nah, we don't really want to change over, but we was going to kill that shit. No, I looked up first. It was first white slave first. That's what I looked up first, which led down the white slave track. But, I mean the white child, first white child. And the white slave, I hate having arguments with people, man, and then they hit you with the, well, we were slaves too. We were white slaves. And I'm like, exactly. So I'm like, yo, fam, I know you take everything, but like, you're going to take oppression too? What kind of fucking monsters take oppression? Like, you don't even want us to be oppressed. You guys weren't the only ones. And then they were saying, and this person wasn't even like Jewish or anything. This person was like white. And he was like, yo, Scottish people were slaves and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I heard. It's a guy named William Wallace, and apparently that's what he was fighting for, like their freedom and their from the monarchy and stuff. I seen Braveheart right before my man Mel Gibson said "pack of niggas." You can't look at it after "pack of niggas." It changes William Wallace. You'd be like, yeah, kill that motherfucker, kill it. In the beginning, you'd be like, oh no, he was only fighting for the right. But now he's like, yeah, fuck him.
Cut his balls.
I was looking. Yeah, exactly. So, side note, they were really mean back in the day in their punishments. I would take the electric chair over half of it. You ever heard of like drawn and quartered and shit? Mm-mm. And flayed and all that? So apparently they castrated William Wallace, and then they flayed him and they drawn and quartered him.
Flayed is like a fish?
Yeah, you take the skin off essentially.
Yeah, dang.
And then drawn and quartered is like you take 4 horses and you tie them and you have them pull you apart. Yeah. I'm be honest with you. And they try to do it, and they try to do it to the point where you don't die initially. So they try to prolong your death so that you're alive for most of this. They don't, because you would probably just bleed out with the bullshit. But like my assumption is while they're like filleting you or flaying you while they're cutting your nuts off and tying your ankles and shit, setting you up to get drawn to court so that you can actually experience all of that pain.
Yeah, damn.
Electric chair never sound better in my life.
Yeah, no, give me mustard gas. Any of that? Oh, God, Jesus.
Yeah, for real. I think the worst death than that is Gaddafi's. They fucked Gaddafi up. They fucked him up. That might have been the worst. They was stepping on his face, nigga. as he was dead. He was dead, and they was still just Crip walking on his face. I didn't know they had Crips out there. I saw Snoop Dogg in that video. It was him. He was like 1, 2, 3 into the phone. I was like, oh shit. But Tekashi told on him. Anywho. Yeah. So I forgot where we started from, but that's how I was going down that wormhole of white slave. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I wonder if they have the record of the first white person, because they have the first white child, the first white person to be born in America. And they do, essentially, because they don't have they didn't keep slavery records. Right. So I always wondered who was the first black person to step foot on American soil. So then innately I always wondered who was the first white person to be born on American soil. Mm. And that's why I was looking up the first white child. I forget the person's name now, but it gave me a name. It was like Harriet Tubman. No, it was like Harriet. It was Harriet something. It was some weird shit. Started with an H, I believe.
Harriet Winslow? Shoot.
They would have gave that child right back. Oh no, it's overcooked. We got they would said some shit. But yeah, that's what I've been looking up.
Is it about that time for Safe Search Mode? You didn't do a lot this week, man.
I did. I kept it simple. Kept it light, kept it good.
One of these is a spin we've seen before.
Yeah, I had to go back.
Well, you gotta play the hits.
When it's good, you go. I still listen to Thriller every once in a while. You know what I mean?
It's a good song. One of these, I'm gonna go to the video because the title is. Assertive. I'll say it's assertive.
I know the one you're talking about. I don't think it's absurd. It's more of a suggestion, it seems like.
I mean, it's a command. Let's see here. And he used the word shove.
But you could be like, hey, can you please shove that wood into the fireplace?
We don't know tone. That's fair. I guess I'd have to watch the video and understand what the official.
It was a much different tone, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. So from the profile, Creamy Goodness.
Salute.
Verified profile. Never heard of him.
Coming with the heat, my nigga.
The name of the video is "Shut Up and Shove My Dick in Your Mouth."
Yo, fam. Classic. That's a classic, yo. That's a new age classic.
I mean, I've never seen it.
I implore you to look at it later.
One man is so enamored with this young lady's performance, he goes, "Can I marry you?"
That was me.
It says C. Bazemore. Yeah, no, that's okay.
Yeah, her work is good.
Nothing but compliments. Everyone's a fan.
Yeah, when you have good work, how do you hate on good stuff, man?
Yeah.
You can't.
That makes sense.
What bugged me, right? Just side note. So I did a video for Instagram, like a little sketch, and I took a song from Earth, Wind and Fire. I took Let's Groove, the song, and I wanted to add that to my video. And I go to YouTube to try to add that to my video, and it had mad dislikes. I was like, who doesn't like this that much? And then I forget exactly, but a lot, absurd amount. It wasn't just one person yo, my woman broke up to me to this song. It was 20,000. It's too many. Enough to be a township, essentially. It was ill to me. Then I went to September, the video, and it had a wild amount of likes too. I was like, who the fuck hates September as a month? It's like, nah, we need 11 months. Who's trying to Pluto September? Like, they was so crazy about that shit.
It
was madness.
Wow, you're right. I pulled it up. Earth, Wind, and Fire's September has 411 million views, which has got to be the most views for like any band from the 70s, 80s. Like, I love Stevie Wonder's my favorite artist of all time. Superstition does not have as many views. But it's got 64,000 dislikes.
How many people don't like September? Like, that doesn't even make sense.
I bet it's Taylor Swift fans.
It's Tekashi fans. It's you and your Tekashi hive. That's who it is. You bastards.
Well, I remember Taylor Swift covered September, and she covered it just wrong, and she got a lot of slack.
Did she put mayonnaise on it?
She put a lot with no seasoning. She covered it very slow, so the song seemed like very somber. Like, do you like it was like gross.
Yo, fam. I don't think anyone should cover September. Like, even black people, we can sing it, but I just don't think, like, as you just let that live, man. That's one of those songs.
Let's Groove, 132 million views, 21,000 dislikes.
Told you it's like 20,000.
Yeah.
That shit fucked me up.
Like, I'm just gonna pull up a Michael Jackson video. Let's let's not stay away from Michael. Let's do a Stevie Wonder. Let's do Superstition. I don't know. There's a music video for it. There's not. But just the audio has 137 million views.
That tracks.
And 20,000 dislikes.
That's too many dislikes. So very superstitious. I didn't like when he did that. I didn't like how his voice sounded. Like, who says that?
Oh, like he can't sing. It's got nothing to do with the music. He's disabled. That makes me uncomfortable.
I don't like blind people that can sing. It makes me weird. Makes me feel away. And I don't know how to feel with the rest of my day after I hear. Like, who the fuck? Yo, what people dislike be the wildest shit. It'll be like 1 million likes for Trump saying, like, Mexicans, we're going to build a wall. It'd be like trillions of likes for that shit and like 7 dislikes. And then it'd be like, fucking, you have a hit of hits. And it's like 20,000, 100,000 motherfuckers that's just like, nah. That ain't it. And to be mad, like, I was discussing this with someone recently. Like, I have not liked many songs. I've never not liked the song enough to actually click the dislike button.
Right.
Even back in the day when we first heard that song, this is like archives. This is not even in existence. But we had another podcast. And you know exactly where I'm going. We had another podcast, a sports podcast, and it was a song I heard. I forget her name, but it was called "God Bless the Darkies."
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I hated that song. It was very racist. It was fucked up. I didn't hate it, and I hated it more than a dislike. Like, I think that song should be erased from history and existence. But like, I even in that moment when I heard it, I didn't go, I'm going to dislike this.
Yeah, I'm going to go out of my way to say no to this.
Yeah, like, even in that moment, I didn't even do that. And I felt like this song was an abomination to songs. I would listen to Tekashi all day before I would listen to that.
Lil Nas X, Old Town Road music video. 475 million views. 320,000
I thought it would be more, but
dislikes.
That tracks.
That tracks, I think.
That's like
September's the happiest song.
That's like a 10. Oh, I'm happy. Go to I'm Happy by Pharrell.
Oh.
The song chorus is literally I'm happy.
627 million views and 175,000 dislikes.
How many sad motherfuckers? Those niggas need hugs. That's the problem. They're just hugless people in the world.
Oh,
we gotta start hugging it.
It's called I'm Happy.
Yo, soon as the quarantine is over, I'm starting to hug homeless people.
That's where I'm living. That's the way I'm living my life. I'm just gonna start hugging homeless people because they need love too, brother. And I just can't have that in my life. I can't. All right, I'm not gonna hug homeless people, like newly homeless people. Not like the motherfuckers that smell like piss. I worked in homeless shelters. Not every homeless person stinks. I can give you that. But like, I'm gonna hug those ones. I'm not gonna hug the niggas that be like, my mommy told me. Not those ones. They fuck around and hump. You fuck around and hug them and get humped. You be like, yo, what the fuck? I'm gay for pay. He's like, oh shit, this is weird. You give a nigga a quarter. Oh shit. I started. The first gay for pay nigga was the dude from Men's Society. I sucked your dick. First of all, I don't even know if he was gay for pay because he was gay and he gay to do hamburgers.
He did it for the love of the game.
Like that's just he just wanted to suck dick, man. It's like and he wanted like directions or somewhere. Like I never wanted to go to a place that bad. Yo, can you like honestly? I pray this never happens and God forbid, but like my mother was in the hospital and I couldn't find where she was at. I wouldn't suck a dick to find out. I would just walk around the hospital until I figure it out. I wouldn't be like, yo, I'll suck your dick, you just let me know the room number. Like I'll just fuck it, I'll figure it out. I'll just be popping in and shit. Fuck it. Yeah, nah. I don't nah. I mean, there are people. I think you should always have like a gay person on your team, like the Fire Festival, someone to suck a dick for you. And whenever you ever heard that story?
No.
I guess it's a good place to end, right? Because it ties everything back together.
Right? Yeah, we call it full circle, baby.
So, in the Fire Festival, it was a dude. They weren't getting something. I forget exactly. This was a while ago when the Fire Festival was, a thing. And this was on the documentary. And one of the people that was in it was gay. And the guy was like, yo, we're not getting this specific thing. I think it was like clean water, some silly shit, right? It wasn't silly, but you know what I mean. It wasn't worth a dick sucking. It was like a human right. It was like tents or some shit. And they were like, hey man, you in the team, you gay. We're not getting this thing. We need you to go in. And they kept like implying like, yo, you gotta go like,
Hint,
edge. And then the guy was just like, what? Suck a dick so we can get these tits, man. And the dude like prepared. I don't know if he ever actually went. I don't remember if he had like suck a dick so that they can like they can't. And you need someone on your team. Like I would love someone that rides for me that much. You'd be like, yo, I suck a dick so that you can succeed in life. I get that nigga a house at the same time when I get my mama a house. Every athlete, I would get my mama a house and literally that person a house. Then the rest of my family. You sucking a dick for me? Like, off the love of the game? Like, you just love my talent that much? You want to?
He believes in you.
I think that's not even gay for pay. That's gay for love, man.
Gang, gang.
And see, that's you. You just admitted it. Gay for love. And thank you guys for listening. I think we're going to title this the Chris Reiter Comes Out episode.
They'll listen. They'll know the truth.
Yeah, that you have a girlfriend. You know what I mean?
We call it beard.
See, you already know the fucking terminologies. Ew. Well, thank you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys. And on that note,
peace out.